Hi there, my name is Meredith White. I am a Spanish teacher just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I was making sure the wine was not visible in this video. Listen, teacher life, whatever. We're allowed to have a libation. But it's Saturday, and I am just lesson planning, which is super sexy. I know, but that's teacher life for you when you have like a million things going on. So I just made week 6 of Spanish 1 available. I am on block schedule. So a week for me is 5 times 90 minutes. So that may be more time for you. And as you can see, this is the slideshow itself. So the dates are like real. They were the actual dates of when we're in week 6. And basically it starts off, it just continues as weeks 4 and 5 did: descriptions, verbs, relationships, likes and dislikes, which also include hate and love. In the past, there's an appearance from my dog. He's photo bombing, video bombing. In the past, I've done a pretty ineffective job of teaching hate. And I think I get self-conscious because I learned me choca, because I learned from typically Spanish speakers from Mexico. And so I always learned me choca, me choca, me choca. And then when I learned odio, like odiar, I was super confused and like also really excited. And it really just doesn't occur to me. So this year I have made a concerted effort to teach odiar. He's coming back. I can hear his fingernails or toenails. And so I've done a better job of that. So again, likes, dislikes, loves, hates, whatever, all those kind of things. Week 6, unit 2. Yeah. So on the left-hand side, you'll see kind of what I'm clicking, but then the slides will be big, of course. We open Monday with a chorus, and a chorus because it's a manageable chunk of music. Also, the song is super sexual, so I only play the chorus. I'm like, listen, you do whatever you want on your own time, but I love this chorus. I think it's awesome because I don't want to lose my job. So yeah, I just play the chorus, and it goes like this. Dime si hay alguien más, pa' no rogarte ni suplicarte. Wait for it. A mí me sobran de más. No quiero, pero yo puedo olvidarte. Tú eres una hipócrita. Un día me ama y otro día me odias. And we pause it because then it gets like real exciting. Anywho, so I love that. I think they're kind of compelling because, you know, they're just kind of, I don't know, interesting, and they look like actual musicians, and it's not like me being like, come on guys, Juanes, you know, or Nicky Jam. We love him. Those are my favies. And Mana. They're like, okay, we can get on board with Nicky Jam, but like, who are these other people? We're officially old, everybody. So I just play the chorus, and I've got these parts highlighted specifically. Yellow for un dia. They've seen all these words, and we keep using like, we've used ama since day 2 of Spanish 1. Parker ama a la chica. Te amo. Like, hello. So I really want to pull out who do you love? Me. Who do you hate? Me. And then the difference between like one day, another day, the day. They're really starting to ask a lot of questions of like, what's the difference between el and la, un and una? I'm like, because that's a really exciting chance for pop-up grammar or just like grammar, and a really fun chance to nerd out. And they're always like, ugh, fine, nerd out. I'm like, yes! And then I get like 2 minutes, because if it's just pop-up grammar, I get like 30 seconds. Not enough. I want to be excited. I want to grab 3 different colors of markers. And then I want to like circle and rectangle and be like, see how that works? Isn't that cool? Anywho. But like, you know, grammar is kind of like gluten, not great for everybody. Some it just like actually makes barf. So, you know, you got to do it in small doses. So we do that chorus, which I love. Inevitably, they're like tick, 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 looking up the song and like adding it to their like whatever, Spotify or whatever for later. I'm like, hopefully you don't understand it. It's not super inappropriate, but you can sing the chorus. So that's cool. And then we move on to just some social media pictures that are actually mine. And I have these questions popping along the bottom, like, boop, that come in like gradually. So like, en tu opinión, es importante comer bien. Tú eres saludable. Because there's a lot of like, they're seeing a lot of verbs now. And it's like dormir, comer, beber, caminar, correr, and all of these. And it's like, how does that fit in? Like, do I change it? Because it's not gustar, like that they've seen. And so we're looking at a lot of like infinitives. And so I really want them to see like, es importante blank, and it's still to do the thing. So I like gently phase those in. I'm just using pictures from our Instagram. Pictures from Instagram screenshots are the best, especially if your phone's in the language, because they're like, oh, les gusta. Huh. Like, Yes, thank you for noticing that. Also, the difference between like these people like it and then it's just like 18 likes. Fascinating. Anyway, Instagram is a fun place. And then lastly, I'm like, in your opinion, let me move my face a little smaller here. In your opinion, is it important to have a private space? Like, does it please you? And here's my little like, pop up grammar here with the te, and with the your, because they're starting to go, wait, why does that too not have an accent? Again, nerd out time. Can I nerd out? Can I? And they usually let me, which is really nice because I get super excited. We then move into an interpretive listening, just a low pressure, low key dictation. I read the script, which is on the next slide, and they write what they hear on the D line. Inevitably, they will say like, but is the spelling count? Calm down, it's not a spelling test. Let's move on. When I show them the script, they make any corrections below. They don't rewrite the whole thing, but they make corrections below on the correction line, on the C line, which is cool because then they're like, oh, I'm closer than I thought. Oh, there is an accent there. And they'll like mark it on the C line, but without having to rewrite it because they won't. Because I wouldn't. Come on, please. Then we move into interpersonal speaking. Just they should have about 15 people by now. We've added 3 questions plus como te llamas. So again, the goal here is like a whole roster of people. You should have everyone in class. How is your personality? How are you physically? What do you like to do, etc. You could do both of them or you could do one or the other. It's Monday, and on Monday we need a lot of conversation to kind of get set up. There goes Murphy again. And then we move into some interpersonal Jenga. So I have about 9 sets of these, so about 4 students apiece. And they decide which one they want to pull. I've got directions here in the speaker notes. They've got, they decide which one they want to pull. They use the sentence frame to state something about themselves with a description or an action. And then they can pull. And you can keep track of the blocks. You can put them back up on Jenga thing, like play Jenga. And then the students in their group are also like writing down. So at the end, I was like, every group needs to turn in like at least 10 sentences that were said in your group, which is super low maintenance because they're listening to each other anyway. So they're like, oh, what'd you say? Okay, no me gusta. And it's repetition without being repetitive, which is pretty cool. After that, they've got just, again, like a note card, and they are drawing and writing likes in terms of verbs. So again, my whole objective here is I want them to be using verbs in the infinitive form. I like to run. I like to walk. And they're just like captioning them. You can do one on one side, one on the other side of the note card, and then they turn them in the inbox. I felt the need to put an arrow to a picture of the inbox because it's week 6 and they're still like walking up to me, like handing, like they do a thing and then they're like, do you want this? No, I don't, because there's literally a box that says like turn in things here, and they're like, so you don't, Senora, you don't want this? No, get the paper out of my face. Jeez Louise. So I finally just like took a picture of the inbox and was like, yeah, this place, the place we always put things. I'm not a desk putter honor. I don't keep a lot of stuff on my desk. I don't, because I know myself, and it will pile up and I'll be like, it'll be super neat. But like, no, I will have no idea what's in there. There's got to be a place for it. A place for everything and everything in its place, or else I'm like, oh no, where did everything go? And eventually my systems break down because I don't make the effort. So when I make the effort to like put it in place and stick to it, it works. So, but anywho, try explaining that to a bunch of 15-year-olds. And then we do the exit card. The exit card is always my opportunity to pull out pop-up grammar and really look at meaning. Not pull out pop-up grammar, sorry, pull out grammar points and really really look at meaning and what's really being said or what really fits places, and so on, so that I can keep class, like stay in the target language, keep it in context, and hopefully as relevant, etc., as possible. And then we move on through the week. So, I really wanted to think about how they're saying things. We do some things that I've linked here from Martina's Somos curriculum, Unit 1, or Somos 1, Unit 2. We segue into her camina versus corre. So now we've played with infinitive forms, and I want to pull with conjugating, but without calling it that. We look at bullfighting, watch a little National Geographic clip from YouTube. We do the Cherokee and Justin Bieber story. Tiny. It's like small. This is all in one day. And then all of them look at camina versus corre, and then they also describe people, and it's really cool. So let's see, what was I going to say? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then, you know what? I'm just going to take this out because that doesn't make any sense. And she's also got some tweets in there. That's what was written there. She's got some tweets in that same unit, which are really cool. And so then we look at those tweets and students, we take parts of the story and I take those tweets and we do tea party with them. So I've got a tea party explanation here, but basically it's just like a pre-reading activity. So they circulate the room with some of the tweets and with some of the parts that pulls out from the text, like Cherokee, which is the name of a girl in the story. Cherokee throws up or like in front of Justin Bieber, and they're like, "What?" And so they're kind of engaged. And then we come back and we read them, and so we do all those things. So I linked it because those are purchased. And then if there's time, we did a little interpersonal and continue on with the exit card. This was a longer day than I expected. We did the warm up, a lot of discussion. Number 5 is always really interesting, their responses. Then I did a movie talk with El Regalo, and that was really interesting. They are not big fans of the boy until he starts actually playing with the dog, and then they're like, okay, he's okay. Then we did some brief interpersonal, and then we combined those two. So my movie talk focused on like has, runs, walks, plays. So those conjugated verbs, but also wants to do a thing, like still some infinitive use. Interpersonal, we've got infinitives here, descriptions here. So they should have a whole column of personality, a whole column of physical, and then verbs and more verbs in the infinitive form. Lastly, which this is the part that took way longer than expected, was they practiced writing for their Friday assessment. So they wrote like a whole page. This was Wednesday, and so I gave them feedback. Was it Wednesday? The 11th? Yeah. And so then I gave them feedback on that writing. I did them that night. So I gave it back to them Thursday, and then that's what they had to study before their writing on Friday. So I added a couple things for my colleague Hannah here, which were just different ways of identifying themselves, different religions, etc., and reminded students of the resources that were already in their folder. A lot of Zombombazo from Zachary Jones and Betsy Jones, who are amazing. And again, Isabella Ronaldo, Leemos y Comprendemos. This is an engaged Spanish classroom reading. If you just go to her Teachers Pay Teachers store and click search descriptions, it's like the first thing that comes up. And then Isabella y Ronaldo is a Martina Beck's reading as well from Somos. And then exit card. So this took them a long time, like 30 plus minutes. I was not expecting that. And they just had a lot of questions. And it wasn't even like, how do you say? They were like actual questions. Anyway, warm up on Thursday. I did a speaking. I put the script in here. It's formatted so you could also do it as a running dictation, which would be cool for like a pre-reading maybe. Have them do a running dictation first, and then do these listenings, or flip it, whatever, that'd be cool. We didn't have enough time, but my colleague does that. That's why they're formatted that way. And then we double check the answers, sexied it up a little bit, really looked at some of those level up options, but because, also, however, and so on. And then checked them answers here. And then because I gave them back this writing, so I've passed back this writing at the beginning with feedback on it, corrective feedback. Well, you can do a couple things. I did corrective feedback this year. And in the past, what I've done is made a photocopy of each student's writing, or at least like some of the lengthier ones, and then did like the corrective feedback, and we didn't use those, but it's up to you. Anyway, they've gotten their drafts back, and so now they trade with somebody, or you could just like pass them back and you get whoever you get. Especially if you had longer ones, which would be cool. And with Sharpies or other markers, etc., students black out the parts of the text. They do blackout poetry. With the descriptions, they black out the parts that they want to like black out, and they keep the parts that also apply to them. So these are descriptions of students, soy, blah, 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 me gusta, blah, blah, blah. They have to find things that don't connect to each other, like non-attached parts, like words, that also apply to them. So if it's like, I like basketball, somewhere throughout, they're like, oh, me too. And they find as much as they can. I connected to a tweet with some of the pictures from the past. Not super sexy. This was last year and they didn't have a lot of time to do it, but I liked this one. I thought this was pretty cool. And actually, you know what? I might stick that picture in there for reference. And so they usually like this. It's a lot better when they have more when they have more written. So to be honest, I wonder if I can paste in the comments. No, I cannot. Okay, so I'll just put it here. So when they have more written, I'll leave it with a tweet. When they have more written, it's a lot better, but if they didn't get to it, that's why sometimes I'll pick out some choice ones and just copy those. That way, that person gets their draft back and we're able to take advantage of their long writing. This all culminates on Thursday when we do a lock for breakout box type project, and I will put that on Teachers Pay Teachers as well. And basically it's 4 locks, 4 activities, and they had to complete all 4 activities and break out of the box. So actually open the locks and let me put this up here because this is really distracting. They had to break out of the box and open the box for the extra credit coupons. And so I will link that in as a separate resource, but it went really well. It was super cool. And I, at the bottom, linked some pictures and more explanation and a full explanation video. So it was really cool. The last of the exit cards. And then we went over, let me see, hold on. I did this wrong. Thursday, Friday. Where's Friday's warm up? Anyway, whatever. I'll fix the dates or whatever needs to be done. But then Friday came along. We went over Blockbox results. All 3 classes got the extra credit coupons. Phew. And they were ready for their assessment. So that was it. Bada bing, bada boom. Super exciting. And then I linked the assessment in there. So hope this is helpful. I'm going to update those links and then I'll put that breakout box on Teachers Pay Teachers. And that is all. So cool. Let me know if you want a editable copy of that test. And so just shoot me an email and I can email it. Happy Saturday.